X.800 is a standard which is defined by ISO. According to this standard, a security service as a service that is provided by a protocol layer of communicating system that ensures that adequate security of the system or of data transfer occurs. A security service is actually a processing or communication service that is provided by a system to give a specific kind of protection to a system resources. We are having some services in our system. That service provide protection to our system resources. Some of the security services are implemented by security policies, and these security policies are actually implemented by some security mechanisms. We have 5 main categories of security services, and each one of these 5 categories are categorized into totally 14 subcategories. The main 5 categories are authentication, access control, data confidentiality, data integrity, and non-repudiation. These 5 categories are again subdivided into separate 14 sub-services. We learn all these services one by one and its subcategories. The first one is called as authentication. In authentication, concerned with assuring that the communication is authentic. The assurance that the communicating entities is one that it claims to be. Now imagine a message has to be sent from one way, that is alarm. You have to send some alarm or warning message to some clients. A server sends some warning message to a client. Then the client has to authenticate that the message is received from a proper server. If in the case of interaction, that means both station send the message. In that case, at the time of connection initiation, the service assure that the two entities are authentic. The both system has to check that the proper sender send the message and proper receiver receive the message. The authentication is done at the both parties. The second point here is, if the service must assure that the connection is not inferred with such a way that the third party can masquerade as one of the two legitimate parties. One more authentication checking done here. Masquerade problem attack. The third party behave like one of the sender or receiver and work like a masquerade. So this you have to check here. There are two types of authentication. The first one is called as peer entity authentication. In peer entity authentications, here peer, first you have to understand what is the meaning of peer. Here peer means if they implement the same protocol, if the two systems implement the same protocol in different systems. For example, if both the systems having TCP modules and they communicating with each other, they are called as peer. The peer entities authentication is provided for use at the establishment of or during the data transfer phase of a connection. It does here the peer entity authentication is actually provided when you are doing some connection between two entities, that is called as logical connection. Okay, the peer entity authentication is done when first you are actually connecting two systems, and once you connected, you do the data transfer. In that connection establishment as well as at the data transfer, during that the peer entity authentication is done. Means every time you do the data transfer, the authentication has to be checked from both parties. The next one is called as data origin authentication. In data origin authentication, here the receiver has to check whether the data is actually received from a proper source, that it is the assurance given for the destination, that data is received from proper source. It does not provide any protection against duplication or modification of the data units. This type of service supports application like electronic mail, where there is no prior interaction between the communicating entities. Here, this type of protection, data origin authentication won't provide any modification or duplication type of protection. Okay, we use it in electronic mail-like system here. The next one is called as the access control. The access control means the prevention of unauthorized use of resource. Who can have the access to resource, under what condition access can occur, and what this accessing the resource are allowed to do. In simple way, if you are using a Facebook, you can post any message. You can post images, text. In that case, you have the authority who can see that post. It's only private, or your friends can see that one, or everybody can see that message. It is the authority of you who can access that one. That permission you can be given by you. That is called as access control. Who can see that one? And if he want to see, he has some certain condition. Sometimes you have to provide some condition. If he has to access that message, he has to log into his Facebook account. A normal user cannot access. A normal user cannot access until he has a Facebook account. That type of condition you can apply here. In one more part here, you can also see the post which is posted by other persons, your friend or any other persons. But some restriction will be provided. You cannot modify, you cannot edit that post provided by your friends. You can see it until they have given the permission for you. Such facility is called as access control. So what is here? What those accessing the resource are allowed to do? They have to give the permission for view as well as editing. Until they have given the permission for editing, you cannot do anything. So that is actually called as access control here. The next one is data confidentiality. Confidentiality means you already know. Data is not visible to the third person. The protection of data from unauthorized disclosure. When the sender and receiver are communicating, the unauthorized person cannot see the data. That is called as data confidentiality. It is categorized into four types: connection confidentiality and connectionless confidentiality. These two are actually give the protection to a large extent. Means all the entire data which is communicating between two parties is actually hidden, okay, from the unauthorized user. The first one, connection confidentiality, means the protection of all user data on connection. Whenever the message is transmitted between two parties, the connection is hidden here. This is connectionless confidentiality. Whenever the data is transferred from one system to another system without any connection, all the data are actually in a encrypted manner. The next one is called a selective field confidentiality. To give some speed for a data transfer, instead of protecting all the data, a small piece of data which is important, a small message or a piece of data which is more important, that data is actually encrypted. This is not much important in data transmission. The confidentiality of selected field within the user data on a connection or a single data block. Okay, instead of protecting all the data, a small piece of data which is very important, that data is actually encrypted. That is called a selective field confidentiality. The last one is called as traffic flow confidentiality. The protection of the information that might be derived from observation of traffic flow. Even the data is actually encrypted, the third person can continuously watch what type of message is transmitted between two parties. He is just monitoring the message frequency, the message length, the source and the destination, who is sending the data, who is receiving the data. All that information is collected by a third person that I have to protect. That is called as traffic flow confidentiality. Next one is data integrity. Data integrity will be done when the third person just modify the data which is transferred between the source and the destination. The assurance that data received are exactly as sent by an authorized entity. That is, the data is not modified or no other information is inserted or some data is deleted or replay. In that case, the data integrity will be checked here. There are totally 5 types of data integrity. The first 3 are actually used for connection oriented, and the last 2 is used for connection plus. In the first one, connection integrity with recovery. In this case, whenever the connection is established between source and destination, the data is checked for any modification, insertion, deletion or replay. If any changes will be done in the data, then it will try to recover that original data. That is called as first one, connection integrity with recovery. In the second one, connection integrity without recovery, it will do the same thing as the previous one, but without any recovery option. The third field, selective field connection integrity. Here, in the first two, all the data is checked for the integrity. But in selective field, only specific portion of the data, a specific portion of a block will be checked for the integrity. Such type of integrity is called a selective field integrity. The next 2 are called as connectionless integrity and selective field connectionless integrity. In both the cases, the connection is not established between source and destination. The source is continuously sending the data, receiver continuously receiving the data. In that case, the connectionless integrity means each and every block of statement will be checked for the integrity, whether it is modified or not. It will check it. In the selective field, a specific portion of block, the block which contain important information, only that part will be checked for the modification. The remaining part is not checked for the any modification. So such thing is called as selective field connectionless integrity. Now the next one is called as non-repudiation. Non-repudiation means sometimes both the sender and receiver are trying to authenticate with each other, even though they are legal persons or authenticated persons. The proper authentication is not done between them. That is called as non-repudiation. For example, sometimes you try to log into this system by using some username and password. For example, you try to log into email. Even though you have a valid username and a valid password, it is not possible to log into the email system. Here the problem maybe occurs from both parties, maybe from the receiving party, that server, or maybe from the sender party, that is from your client. So that is called as non-repudiation. We have to prevent such problems. The authentic person has to access the resource from the network. That is called as non-repudiation. Provides protection against denial by one of the entities involved in a communication of having participated in all the parts of the communication. Even though they have the authentic persons, it will prevent you. So that I have to protection against that. So there are two types: non-repudiation, origin. Prove that the message was sent by the specific party, that is authentic person. Non-repudiation for destination. Prove that the message was received by a specific party, that is authentic person here. Source is also authentic and the destination is also authentic one. That we have to check and provide the permission. That is called as non-repudiation. Availability service. Availability is defined as the property of a system or a system resource being accessible or usable upon demand by an authorized system entity according to performance specification for the system. Here, the authentication person or system try to access the resource or a system, but the system prevents from accessing it. Due to what happens sometimes, the hacker or the third person tried to prevent the access of a resource. He can use the resource in such a way that he can modify the resource in such a way that it is prevent the authorized person from accessing it. For example, if I try to access Google now, it is available to me. If I try to access after 5 minutes, it is available to me. If I try to access at the night 5 o'clock or night 12 o'clock, still it is available to me. Available means the system or resource should be available at any time. No other person can prevent or block the availability of that resource. It is indicated by availability service.